All right, yes. Hello, guys. Welcome to BPM 2014. Welcome to this Pioneer demo slot that we've been allocated. So I'm going to talk you through a new product we're announcing at the show. It's the DDJ-SX Mark II. So 2 years ago, we launched a ginormous MIDI controller into the market. The SX Mark I was probably the biggest MIDI controller at the time when we announced it. And it's, you know, in comparison now, when you look at some of the other products in our range, it's almost half the size. It's not perceived to be a massive controller in any way, shape or form. But when it first came out, it was huge. It kind of established itself as the #1 MIDI controller on the market for a number of reasons. I think it's probably the feedback we've got from a lot of people was that it was the closest thing to CDJs to a lot of people. You know, the increased depth of the jog wheels and the full standalone 4-channel mixer. It's almost like a hybrid. So you've almost got essentially a DJM 800 in the center, DJM 900 or 850, and then a lot of the functionality from the CDJ 2000 Nexus as well, like the needle search and all of the same transport controls, but of course native control over Serato DJ. So all the benefits that come hand in hand with using a laptop-based program. You know, all of the file storage, not having to burn CDs, Quantize looping, all the things that Serato DJ brings to the market as well. So the reason we've revamped it and we've kind of reintroduced the Mark II into the marketplace is, I think it's about time. You know, the product that's held its own for so long, it kind of deserves a bit of a revamp. And it's not massively overhauled. There's not a great deal of change on here. It's just, I guess, if anyone's in the market for an SX, then go for the Mark II is going to just sweeten the deal a little bit more and add a few nice little features on there. Anyone who's using an SX, if you're anything like me and you want the latest stuff and you've got to have the best thing, then I'd be swapping my SX for this straight away. I'll talk you through what we put on here. So, performance functionality is exactly the same. On all of our MIDI controllers, you've got a central pot up at the top, which allows you to scan through your music and allows you to jump through your Serato crates or your iTunes library by jumping back onto the tree menu, like so. So, let's jump in. I'm going to load up that track I was just playing a moment ago. Once you want to load this track up, you either load into channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, or channel 4. So we'll go for channel 1. Bang. Mixer-wise, on these 4 channels, you've got your removable fader down at the bottom, and then your 4 high-quality channel strip faders up there. And moving up, you've got independent filters, much like the DJM range on each channel. Isolator EQs, but you're noticing there's not really a great deal of effects on here. Apart from your filters, there's no actual effects bank on the MIDI control mixer section. All of the effects are controlled by the top section up here, and they're obviously inside of Serato. Anyone who's, we're lucky enough to have Serato on our stand, and they've installed all of the expansion packs onto every laptop on the Pioneer stand. It's such a cool feature to be able to not just be locked into the effects that a software offers you. You know, the ability to download expansions, and every time it keeps it fresh. You're not listening to the same effects all the time, and once you figure out the cool things and you've rinsed the parts that sound great for like 1 or 2 months, you can download the next expansion pack, and it's kind of ever growing. And I suppose the software evolves while you're DJing with it. But all of that control is done up on the top here. If you can see on the screen, there's actually no... Serato is probably the most straightforward piece of software there is in terms of virtual DJing, but you're not actually seeing any control of the effects at the minute. To see your effects, or see the different views, I've got a panel select button on the top left of the unit. If I hit that, it's going to change to the first method, the first strip along here, which is actually flip mode. Flip mode is an all-new feature brought into Serato DJ, and it just allows you to kind of create sequences. I'm sure everyone has heard of flip mode now after being here for maybe 1 or 2 days. It's kind of Serato's new feature in 1.7. It allows you to create sequences of hot cues and then save them. So I'll create one in a moment. You know, I'm still kind of getting to grips with it, to be fair, but it's really, really cool. A lot of the DJs out there producing tracks at the moment solely work around chopping vocals up. You know, the MK stuff that's massive at the moment. It's all vocals being chopped up into different phrases, so you don't actually understand what they're saying, almost. You can do that live with flip mode. That's one of the features we've incorporated onto here as well. You can see on the screen, we've got 3 dedicated flip mode buttons on here. So this is the first controller to natively take control of the flip mode function. So what I'll do, you're actually going to see the RGB pads. That's another upgrade. The original DDJ-SX only had blue coloured pads. What I'm going to do is create some hot cues on this track and just create a flip on the fly. So you'll see the colours spring into play as well. Let's get a bit of vocal.
This be the contract for Sky, I'll be signing. No concern for whining or dining. Wind so blue that it might be blinding.
So, hit record.
Is I won't bid my time.
Sounds out of time though. The reason it's sounding out of time is because none of my hot cues were created with Quantize turned on. So Serato, it's surprising they were a little bit late to the game in incorporating a Quantize feature. Kind of essential, I think, nowadays, especially with house music for me. So what I'm going to do, hold shift and remove all of these RGB illuminated hot cues that I just set, and hold down the hot cue button. And it's going to be quite subtle, but on my screen, there's a little cue up here. And I could click it with my mouse, but if I just hold down the hot cue button on here, that will turn on Quantize. Now every hot cue I set will be Quantize. So arm Serato Flip. And that will continue to loop. Now you can save this by holding down shift and hit slot, and that will save that flip for you to load up at any time. You've probably all seen demos of this on various other stands, but it's such a sick feature, man. What I'm going to do is load up another track and actually mix into it. Let's go for something beaty. I'm using sync for this feature just to save me time, but I'm going to load up another track. And then if you want to exit it, you simply turn it off. So as you can imagine, that was pretty slapdash and done off the fly and off the cuff. And I don't use Serato DJ, so I'm kind of still getting to grips with this. I perform on record box, but it would be amazing to see something like, that is, with a bit of practice, you could do some really cool sequences using that. I can think of 100 tunes that I play off the top of my head that have got amazing little vocal parts that you could run through and create little flips, save them into the next available flip slot, and call them up at any point in time. Other features we've incorporated on here, all of the functionality is the same, pretty much. There's a button that's been removed, which a lot of people were kind of, on the forums, we were seeing a lot of kind of questioning about, which was dual deck mode. On the original SX, you had a button in the middle called dual deck. It just enabled you to load up a track into deck 2 and a track into deck 4 and control both of them using the same performance pads. So apply a hot cue to 2 tracks at once. Now if I change my view, you can see all 4 of my channels on Serato. Now yeah, the button has been taken away, but dual deck mode is still there. You simply just press channel platter 2 and platter 4 at the same time. They both flash, and now you're controlling at 2 tracks at once, as you can see. So this works really well if we run these tracks together. two completely different tracks. So. Hot cues. Scratching. All of the functionality. If you're working with acapellas, this is really useful. But yeah, dual deck mode is still available on the SX2. Other functionality, I suppose one of the last things we put on there is gold plated terminals on the back. So standalone mixer as you'd expect on this unit. You know, almost semi-professional use you can use this for. We've got XLR output, we've got balance jack booth output, as well as a secondary master. But then you've got 2 phono channels and 2 CD line inputs as well as 2 mic inputs. All gold-plated terminals, so just to ensure higher level quality sound. And I suppose the last thing, which the original SX didn't have, that this one does have, is it's DVS ready. So if you're using this in conjunction with turntables or CD players or, you know, multimedia players of any kind, you can send timecode into this, Serato timecode, and this unit will send the timecode to the software for you. So you can actually, you know, if you were in the market for a mixer, you could incorporate this into your setup as your mixer. Take advantage of all Serato's effects, as well as the new flip mode feature and expansion packs, and have a pretty sterling setup for, you know, not a great deal of cash. This is retailing at the exact same price as the original SX. It's available now, and it's going to be retailing at £809. It's going to be we say it's available now. It's going to be a couple of weeks before you see them in shops. But, you know, get yourself down to your local retailer, or even come to our stand, as we're all at the show, and check it out. Any other questions as well, please come over to the stand and just fire away at us, guys. We're almost at the end of the day now, but Kissy Sellout's going to be closing our stand at 4:30, so please come over and have a listen to that as well. Thank you for your time.